You're welcome to the Mayo Football Podcast, and sometimes it does seem like the entire Mayo football universe revolves around the senior team. But of course, there is a whole other world out there, specifically the club football scene. And in just 4 weeks, the Mayo Club Championships will explode into life all over again. So with that in mind, we felt it was time to start talking about how the club season is shaping up, which teams are going well, which players are going well, and to find out more about what the countdown to the club championships are like for some of the players and managers involved. That's where our guests on this show come in, Flanagan and Paddy Finnegan. One a dashing defender, the other an upwardly mobile manager. I'll let you figure out which one is which. How are things?
All good, Mike. Yeah, great to be back at it, flat out in the club scene.
And Paddy, fresh from another big Aghamore win. Another big score racked up, sitting comfortably at the top of Division 2A of the league with 7 wins from 8. Life must be very easy for you at the moment, Paddy.
Oh, it's all roses, Mike. It's all roses in Aghamore. Yeah. It's great to get the win last night, and that secures promotion for us now out of Division 2, and that was one of the main goals we had now at the start of the year, to get back up towards the higher echelons of league football in Mayo. So it's great to have it done with a game to go. Yeah.
What do you put the good start down to? The really fast start this season.
To be honest, Mike, in fairness, I came in late enough. I didn't sign up for Aghamore until March time. So in fairness to the lads that were there, they had a lot of work done with no management in place. You know, they'd got together themselves and started doing sort of training and S&C work and that type of thing. And so they were in good nick when we came in March and started back on the pitch properly. And look, I mean, with the best will in the world, the division we were in, there wasn't many senior. We were, us and Ballyhonus, I think, the only senior teams in it. So we're playing teams that are playing a bit below the level that we're used to. So we've been able to get a lot of victories and rack up some scores in them. So in one way, it's great. Always great to be winning, and it's to get back out of the thing. But with senior championship around the corner now, it'll be a different animal playing senior teams week in, week out.
Sure, I'm looking here at the Division 1B league table, and I remember it gives me a flashback to a county board meeting or two I was at when the topic of dividing up the leagues again and restructuring the leagues again came up for discussion. And then more recently, there was definitely a rather heated debate around how exactly they were divided and how they were split up. But you ended up in 1B, and I see you're in 5th place, 2 points behind the league leaders, Claremorris, with 4 wins from 8. Does that kind of tell the full story, or what's the start of the season been like for Ball in an overall sense?
Probably does, and truth be told, anyone that's seen our games and seen, I suppose, how they ended, particularly 2 or 3 of them, we should be a lot higher. We should have got a win against Westport first day out. Refereeing decision at the end kind of robbed us of a victory. We were 9 points up against Aghamore at half time. With the big win, it must be said, they came back, won by a point. We missed a free at the end, and then we lost to Claremorris with the goal at the very last second. So, you know, could be a lot higher, without a doubt, of being competitive and pretty decent in most of the games. But yeah, it's all kind of coming down now to the last day. I think we need to get a victory just to ensure that we're going to be in Division 1. Although I don't think it'll absolutely ensure it. I think we still need a few results to go our way. But you're sure if there's 5 or 6 teams there on kind of 8, 9, 10 from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, you mentioned there the phrase at the end, and that reminds me, I need to ask you about last weekend, because I have a copy of the Western People here in front of me. Ball 3-11, Crossmalina 13 points. So far, so good. And then I see the first paragraph. Tempers flared at the final whistle with some unsavoury clashes between players and mentors from both camps after a pulsating league encounter on Saturday evening. So, Ger, what does that mean? What happened?
It was definitely sensationalized, without a shadow of a doubt. There was a few handbags between a couple of lads, a bit of pushing and shoving, a bit of a kind of American baseball style pile in from both benches, and yeah, a lot of men shouting and roaring, but no one really doing anything. So yeah, I don't think there was, other than that, the game went by pretty tension free, if you like. But no, I think there's a small bit of sensationalism.
I want to come back and just ask you about a couple of aspects of the game, actually. But you've tied that up. That first paragraph, my question has been tied up in a bow and handed back to me. But Paddy, it does, I suppose, get me thinking. I have heard on the grapevine over the last few weeks there have been a few games that have ended in handbags, pushing, shoving, bits of schmozzles. There have been a few games where things have kicked off during the match as well, and it gets me wondering: is this a sign of just how serious now everybody is taking the league? Is this a byproduct of, I don't know, the new rules, or have you found it any more intense or competitive over the last couple of months playing league matches, or is this just the way it's always been? Maybe now there's a bit more focus, and more local media outlets have more coverage of games and so on.
Well, to be honest, Mike, it's great to hear that sort of stuff. That there is games with that intensity and teams it mattering to teams, because I think in the last few years in Mayo, league football has died a death. Really, the intensity has gone out of it, or the consequences even of winning a league game or losing a league game. A lot of teams didn't seem to care one way or another. If we win, great. If we lose, doesn't matter. There'll be another game next week, and there wasn't relegation or winning it didn't seem to be as important, especially I think since around COVID time, when they started splitting it up into, there was groups of 4 and then groups of 8, and it became a bit disjointed. But I think league football needs to be more important in Mayo. Maybe the new system that's coming, we're going back to 10 teams or 12 teams, whatever we're going back to, where it's probably a fuller, more competitive league across the board. That might help it, but it needs to be there, because it's an awful lot of, even from, I find with players, some weeks they're not available, and it doesn't overly bother them that they'll be missing a league game. Do you know what I mean? If there's a concert or if there's a party or whatever is happening, I won't be around for that league game. And that's just so strange compared to where it was maybe 15, 20 years ago. League games were the be all end all. You could get promoted or relegated from championship through the league that time. So it really mattered. But like, I've been to a few different games, not just our own. I went to watch Brafey and Knockmore last week, and Knockmore were down, a lot of bodies that you'd expect them to have for what I would have thought would have been a big league game. Brafey and Knockmore, county semi-finalists against each other last year. But in Brafey as well, we're missing a good few bodies, and you're kind of going, you could see even Ray Dempsey wasn't too fussed that Knockmore it didn't beat Brafey, and when that's happening, then you're kind of going, well, it's obviously not that important, the league here.
I think there's definitely more intensity to the games, Paddy. I don't know if you're noticing that, or at least intensity right to the end, because 6 or 7 point lead at the minute now, it's not substantial. Like, it can change in a flick of an eye. So if you're 6 or 7 points up, you can't really afford to kind of sit back and relax and try and see out the game. You kind of have to keep it lit all the way right to the end. Like, and that's definitely, I don't know, is it a cause of more handbags and stuff? But you're on it right to the end, because of, you just simply have to be.
Well, yeah, I think definitely the new rules have brought a more intent element to games. Players are on the go full time. Like you said, there's no sitting back, or we'll drop bodies back here and just sit in for 10 or 15 minutes. You can't do that. If you switch off for 5 minutes, even last night we played in Bunny Conlon, we were 7 or 8 up at half time, and think we were playing against the breeze in the first half. Come out at the start of the second half, Bunny Conlon had 1-2 scored in no time, and it was game on again. So we had to suddenly get back at it, and so definitely the new rules help from that regard. But I said overall, it does seem it can be hit and miss. on the opposition you're playing. If they have everybody, it could be a brilliant game and a real intense battle. If they're missing bodies, then I don't know if that intensity is where it should be. Or, it's just not championship. Definitely not near that intensity of club championship.
Is the point Paddy's making there as well, Ger, though, got to do with the division you're in? I mean, I'm looking at Division 1B here, and that saying about there's no easy game springs to mind. I mean, you've got Claremorris, Crossmalina, Garrymore, Ballintubber, Westport, Moy Davits, Mayo Gales, Hollymount Carramore, and Burrishoole. The standard at 1A and 1B, because obviously that's where the majority of teams are operating now, with the way the leagues were carved up, it means that every week is a top quality opposition, isn't it, coming? And the vast majority of them getting ready for senior club championship.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Definitely with all the competitive games that are coming at you, it's definitely the management teams that are really, driving it home. Lads, you need to let us know when you're going away and if you're going away, and please, if you are going away, try to not go away when we've games on. Players will still go away here and there, and you're not going to have a full pick of players for every league game. Like, chances are you're going to be missing 2 or 3 at least for every league game, and that's just through injuries, just through lads having other commitments going on. And it's pretty intense week on week, every second week for the last 2 months. People have a lot of stuff going on in their lives at the minute, like, and particularly with the age profiles of the teams now, they're, it's quite a lot of young lads in it. They're obviously going to be going away. The older lads are going to be picking up knocks and bruises. So I don't think there's, I think it's just inevitable. I think it's absolutely inevitable. And everyone knows, look, it is a league at the end of the day. It's not the be all and end all. While it's important to be competitive and do really well, you can afford to, take your break here. If you want to go away for a week or you want to go away for a couple of weeks, you can do that in this is the time. But, I think towards the end of probably around now, really, or maybe a couple of weeks time, everyone is really kind of knuckling down and kind of get tuned in, and there'll be no one going away.
I just want to jump back, Ger, to that Crossmalina game for a couple of minutes, and there's a few names on their team sheet that I was delighted to see there, first of all, and I just was wondering what your impressions were. The first is Kobe McDonald. I see he played at centre forward, and obviously there's been a lot of talk about Kobe since he broke through to play underage with Crossmalina. This is his first season playing at senior level. He scored a 2-point free and a couple of points from play. I mean, he's only a kid. He's still in secondary school. Did he look out of place at that level? Were you impressed with him? And what sort of an impact did he make on the game?
Look, he's very, very talented. It's funny. It was I was in corner or fullback in the first half. I think I was marking Oisin Dean for a while and got a good bit of freedom. So I was up and down the field like mad for the first half, and I felt the hamstring kind of tightening up in the second half or at half time. And I just said to the physio, here, will you rub it out? And he just said, listen, sit back a bit and don't be going forward as much. So that was kind of my plan for the second half. And then I saw Kobe McDonald coming in on me. So I said, well, fuck's sake, now this is not good. But he's look, doesn't look out of place. It's only when you're up beside him though you realize how young he is. Like he's a boy. Like I'm 32 next month. So I have probably 14 or 15 years on Kobe. Like when I was going into my junior cert, he probably wasn't even born. So he's that young. He's only a boy, and I think I just hope everyone gives him a bit of time and a bit of freedom to kind of develop and find his way, and not be putting too much pressure on him and looking, how did he get on this week? How did he get on that week? And if he has a poor game, sure, look, he's not going to make it. Like he's absolute bags of talent, big, strong, pacey young fella, very tricky. But look, he's so young, and I think just kind of protecting him and not kind of judging him on who his father is, because that's going to be a heavy weight that he's going to be carrying, I think, over the next number of years, and let them develop. Because if he does, he's going to be an unbelievable player for Mayo, I think.
Yeah, and I suppose that is the big question: what will happen? Because everyone seems to have a different version of what the future holds for Kobe. Will he stay or will he go? But look, like you said, whatever he does decide to do, the best of luck with it. And certainly from a Crossmalina point of view, having him in the attack along with the Fionn Duffys, the Dylan Flynn's, the Oisin Deans, and I see Jordan Flynn didn't play at the weekend, so obviously he has to come back into it as well. Conor Loftus also played Ger against you last weekend, and I know Conor came back playing football maybe about a month ago or so. Great to see him back and able to tog out again. I'm sure he stood out. I mean, the amount of times we've come away from Mayo games recently and people have said what a loss he's been, and what an addition he would have been. And I'm sure from across Malina point of view, having him back at centre back just gives the whole thing another boost as well.
Yeah, when you see the way he moves across the ground, Mike, you just know there's just the intercounty level, like just glides past players. Didn't look like a man who only came back training about a month ago. Still moving unbelievably well. I was a huge player. I was unlucky not to get a goal actually at the end. He made some really, really kind of penetrating runs through the defence when they were pushing for goal right at the end. But yeah, hopefully we'll see him back in a Mayo jersey too.
Hi, Rob here. You've been listening to a free taster of the latest episode of the Mayo Football Podcast. To hear the rest of the pod, all you have to do is head over to patreon.com/Mayo Podcast and become a subscriber so that you can access all the content all of the time for just €5 a month. You can also join by downloading the Patreon app from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. We think you'll like what you hear.